The chamber was silent, save for the hum of holographic projections flickering before the assembled alien war council. Once proud conquerors of countless worlds, they now sat in broken postures, eyes wide with terror. The supreme commander of the Galactic Dominion, a creature whose very name once sparked fear across galaxies, trembled as he replayed the footage again. It showed Earth, their greatest prize, once burning under their mighty fleets. But now, the skies were filled with human warships, sleek and deadly, forged from the very technology the invaders had once wielded against them. On the ground, human soldiers advanced with cold precision, their faces hardened by loss, but burning with unyielding resolve. The aliens they encountered didn't stand a chance. They fled or surrendered, pleading for mercy. The Supreme Commander's voice broke, a shiver in his tone. How? How did this happen? They were supposed to be weak. A whisper spread across the council, haunted and fearful. They were supposed to be weak. But they weren't. They had adapted. They had fought back. And now they showed no mercy. As the human fleet loomed ever closer on the holographic map, the once mighty conquerors were forced to confront the bitter truth. They were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. Throughout the galaxy, there was one undeniable truth. The strong dominate the weak. Countless species rose to power, conquering and enslaving those they deemed inferior. It was the natural order, an unspoken law that had governed civilizations for millennia. When the Galactic Dominion first set their sights on Earth, they saw nothing more than a primitive world, teeming with fragile creatures barely capable of leaving their own atmosphere. Conquest was supposed to be swift and effortless. Humanity, by all calculations, was supposed to fall. But calculations were wrong. The first wave was devastating. Cities burned, billions were lost, and humanity's cries echoed through the cosmos. The invaders were relentless, their weapons beyond human comprehension, their armies vast and merciless. Earth was on its knees, shattered and broken. The Galactic Dominion celebrated their victory, convinced that humanity was just another trophy in their endless conquest. Yet, humanity did not surrender. Unlike the countless species before them, humans didn't scatter or submit. They adapted. They learned. They retaliated. Where other civilizations had crumbled, humanity united, pooling their resources, knowledge, and sheer willpower. They reverse-engineered alien technology, turning it against their enemies. They forged alliances among the stars, rallying the oppressed and forgotten. They became what the galaxy had never seen before, survivors who refused to be conquered. This wasn't just a war of weapons and technology. It was a war of ideas, of defiance against an ancient hierarchy that dictated the universe's order. Humanity became a symbol of rebellion, a living testament to the power of perseverance. They shattered the illusion of invincibility that the Galactic Dominion had carefully crafted for millennia. As word of humanity's resistance spread, it sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Empires faltered, fear creeping into the hearts of those who once saw themselves as invincible. If a primitive species from an isolated blue planet could rise against the might of the Dominion, then what else was possible? The very foundation of power was shaken. This is the story of how humanity turned the tables on its would-be conquerors, not just with weapons, but with their indomitable spirit. It's a tale of revenge, rebellion, and redemption, of a species that refused to bow, even when all hope seemed lost. A story of how they became the hunters and their invaders, the hunted. Welcome to the legend of humanity's rise, a saga that every species now fears and reveres. The skies darkened as colossal ships descended upon Earth, their shadows stretching across continents. It was a day that would forever be etched into human history, the day the Galactic Dominion arrived. They came with power unimaginable, wielding technologies that defied the very laws of physics. To them, Earth was just another conquest, a minor footnote in their empire's expansion. The initial assault was brutal and efficient. Major cities were targeted with pinpoint precision. Skyscrapers crumbled like sandcastles. Military defenses were obliterated before they could even react, and communication networks went dark within hours. Chaos reigned as humanity faced an enemy they could not comprehend, let alone fight. Panic spread like wildfire. Governments tried to negotiate, but their pleas were met with cold indifference. To the Dominion, humanity was an infestation, primitive, disorganized, and inconsequential. Their leaders broadcasted a single message, translated into every known language: submit, and your extinction will be painless. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming power, some resisted. Pockets of military units, rogue scientists, and everyday citizens fought back, driven by sheer desperation. They were no match for the invaders' advanced weaponry, but they were defiant, refusing to be erased without a fight. It was this defiance that caught the Dominion off guard. Among the first to stand against the invaders was Major Elias Ford, a decorated veteran with a reputation for unconventional tactics. When his base was annihilated in the first strike, he regrouped with survivors, rallying them with a fiery determination. "If they want this planet," he roared, "they'll have to fight us for every inch of it." Ford led daring guerrilla assaults, hitting the enemy where they least expected. Ambushes in urban ruins, sabotage of supply lines, and relentless hit-and-run tactics began to frustrate the invaders. They were unprepared for such chaos, their strategies designed for orderly conquests, not for a species that fought like cornered beasts. But even Ford's resistance had its limits. For every victory, humanity suffered countless losses. Entire nations fell, populations were decimated, and the Dominion's war machines continued their relentless advance. It became clear that Earth was losing and time was running out. As the Dominion tightened their grip, they began to harvest Earth's resources, stripping the planet bare without mercy. They viewed humanity as insignificant, worth less than the minerals beneath their feet. This callousness only fueled human anger, transforming fear into rage and despair into resolve. Hidden within the chaos, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, trying to understand the enemy's technology. One such scientist, Dr. Alarichan, made a breakthrough. By salvaging a downed enemy drone, she uncovered the secrets of their energy shields, a discovery that could change the tides of war. But knowledge alone wasn't enough. Humanity needed unity, a leader who could inspire them to rise against impossible odds. As whispers of resistance spread across the globe, a symbol emerged, a shattered Earth with a defiant fist rising from its core. It was more than just an emblem, it was hope. The Galactic Dominion underestimated humanity. They saw weakness where there was resilience, division where there was unity. Their arrogance would be their downfall, but the war was far from over. Humanity was cornered, desperate, and angry. And nothing is more dangerous than a species with nothing left to lose. The invasion had begun, but the fight was just getting started. The world was on the brink of collapse. Cities lay in ruins, entire nations were reduced to ash, and humanity seemed destined to be nothing more than a footnote in the Dominion's history of conquest. But in the depths of despair, a spark ignited, one that would change the course of the war and redefine the very essence of what it meant to be human. It began with Dr. Ilara Chen's discovery. In the underground bunkers beneath the shattered remains of New Shanghai, she and her team toiled day and night to reverse engineer the Dominion's technology. Her breakthrough on the enemy's energy shields was a revelation. The shields operated on a frequency modulation system, harmonizing with the Dominion's unique energy signatures. But Chen discovered a flaw, a vulnerability to specific electromagnetic pulses that could temporarily disable them. The resistance finally had a weapon, but they needed someone bold enough to use it. Major Elias Ford answered the call. Coordinating with resistance cells across the globe, he devised a daring plan, a coordinated strike on the Dominion's primary command centers, using Chen's EMP disruptors to bring down their shields. It was a suicide mission, but Ford knew that if they didn't take the risk, humanity would be doomed. Before the assault, Ford broadcasted a message to the remaining pockets of humanity. His voice was raw with emotion, resonating through makeshift radios and hacked communication networks. They think we're broken. They think we're weak. But they don't understand what it means to be human. We fight. We endure. And we rise. Inspired by his words, the world united. From the deserts of Africa to the icy tundras of Siberia, resistance fighters prepared for the largest coordinated strike in human history. Engineers adapted Chen's disruptors into makeshift weapons, strapping them to drones, missiles, and even the backs of volunteer soldiers willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. The night of the attack was a symphony of chaos. The sky lit up as hundreds of EMP pulses rippled through the atmosphere, targeting the Dominion's fortresses. Their shields flickered, wavered, and then collapsed. For the first time since the invasion, the invulnerable became vulnerable. Ford led the charge, his forces storming the Dominion's command centers with relentless fury. They fought with a ferocity that stunned the invaders. The Dominion soldiers were superior in technology, but inferior in spirit. They fought with orders, but humanity fought with purpose. The turning point came at the Battle of the Red Cliffs. The Dominion had established a critical stronghold overlooking what was once the bustling city of Hong Kong. It was fortified with their most advanced weaponry, believed to be impenetrable. But Ford had a plan. Utilizing Chen's disruptors, he coordinated a two-pronged assault. One team infiltrated the stronghold to disable the internal defenses, while the main force launched a full frontal assault to draw enemy fire. The fighting was brutal. Streets ran red with blood, buildings crumbled under artillery fire, and the air was thick with smoke and the screams of the dying. But the disruptors worked. The Dominion's energy weapons faltered, and their vehicles were rendered useless. Human soldiers moved in with a precision honed from years of guerrilla warfare, taking down the disoriented invaders. Ford himself led the final push into the Dominion's command hub. Face to face with the enemy commander, a towering figure with eyes that burned with contempt, Ford did not hesitate. They fought in brutal hand-to-hand combat, a clash of strength versus sheer determination. In the end, humanity prevailed. Ford emerged bloodied but victorious, hoisting the enemy's flag before burning it for the world to see. News of the victory spread like wildfire. For the first time since the invasion, humanity had not only survived, but had won. It was more than just a strategic gain. It was a symbol of hope. The Dominion's aura of invincibility was shattered, and across the galaxy, whispers of resistance grew louder. But victory came at a cost. Countless lives were lost, cities lay in ruins, and the Earth itself bore scars that would never heal. Ford stood amidst the wreckage, surrounded by the bodies of his fallen comrades, and vowed to honor their sacrifice by continuing the fight. This victory marked humanity's turning point. They were no longer merely surviving, they were fighting back. The Dominion had underestimated them, seeing only primitive creatures on a backward planet. But they failed to understand the power of the human spirit. Dr. Chen's disruptors became the blueprint for new weapons, as scientists and engineers continued to innovate, turning the enemy's technology against them. Resistance networks grew, spreading from Earth to Dominion-occupied worlds, igniting a spark of rebellion throughout the galaxy. Major Ford became a symbol, a legend whose name inspired fear in the hearts of the invaders. His strategies became the foundation of the Resistance's guerrilla warfare, turning Earth into a fortress that defied all attempts at reclamation. The Galactic Dominion had thought they were conquering a weak species. Instead, they awoke a force that refused to be extinguished. Humanity was no longer on the defensive. They were ready to take the fight to the stars. The tables were turning, and the invaders who once sought to enslave humanity were about to learn the true cost of underestimating the human will to survive. The battle for Earth was over, but the war for the galaxy was just beginning. Humanity had learned to fight back, but that wasn't enough. They needed to win. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about liberation and revenge. The Galactic Dominion had taken everything from them: their homes, their loved ones, their very identity. Now, it was humanity's turn to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. Major Elias Ford stood at the forefront of this transformation. He understood that conventional warfare wouldn't be enough. The Dominion's technology was centuries ahead. Their military might seemingly limitless. But they were predictable, rigid in their strategies, and arrogant in their belief of superiority. Ford knew this was humanity's greatest advantage: their adaptability, their creativity, and their willingness to fight dirty if necessary. The first step was to make the Dominion fear Earth. To do this, Ford orchestrated a campaign of psychological warfare. Using captured communication devices, resistance hackers flooded the Dominion's networks with footage of human victories, exaggerated to mythic proportions. They showed guerrilla fighters taking down war machines, civilians sabotaging supply lines, and soldiers who seemed to rise even after being mortally wounded. The legend of the Immortals spread, a name given to human warriors who wouldn't stay dead. These tales weren't entirely false. Dr. Alara Chen's research into Dominion biotechnology led to revolutionary medical advancements. Using alien nanites, she developed a prototype that could heal wounds at an accelerated rate, enhance physical strength, and even prolong life. These enhanced soldiers became humanity's vanguard, spearheading daring assaults deep into enemy territory, leaving destruction and confusion in their wake. Ford used this confusion to his advantage, launching a campaign of misinformation. The resistance spread rumors of Earth's deadliest landscapes: jungles that devoured armored divisions, oceans that dissolved ships, deserts with creatures more fearsome than any Dominion predator. These stories were rooted in truth, but exaggerated to instill terror. The Dominion soldiers, accustomed to sterile, controlled environments, became paranoid and fearful of Earth's unpredictability. Then came the strategic strikes. Using Dr. Chen's reverse-engineered disruptors, Ford launched surgical attacks on Dominion supply lines and communication hubs. They crippled the enemy's logistics, creating chaos among the ranks. But the most significant blow came when Ford led an assault on the Dominion's primary orbital command station, the Nexus. The Nexus was the linchpin of the Dominion's control over Earth, coordinating their fleet's movements and supplying ground forces. Its destruction would cripple their operations. Ford knew it was a suicide mission, but that didn't matter. Volunteers lined up by the thousands, ready to sacrifice themselves for humanity's future. Using stealth shuttles equipped with disruptors, Ford's team infiltrated the station. The battle was brutal, corridors filled with laser fire, hand-to-hand combat with towering Dominion soldiers, and constant bombardment from security drones. But humanity fought with desperation, using their ingenuity to turn the station's systems against their enemies. They rerouted power to the gravity stabilizers, creating zones of zero gravity to disorient the Dominion forces, and hacked ventilation systems to deploy improvised gas grenades. In the command center, Ford faced the Nexus's overseer, Commander Thalrak, a being of immense stature with eyes that burned with contempt. Thalrak mocked Ford's species, calling them vermin who didn't know when they were beaten. But Ford answered with bullets. The fight was vicious, and Ford barely survived, his body broken and bleeding. But he emerged victorious, standing over Thalrak's corpse and broadcasting one message to the Dominion fleet: "Your invincibility is a lie. Earth will never bow." The Nexus exploded, visible from the planet's surface, as a brilliant flash in the night sky. The Dominion fleet lost coordination, their formations breaking as human fighters emerged from hidden bunkers to launch a counteroffensive. The invaders panicked, retreating from their positions, giving humanity their first major victory. But Ford wasn't done. He knew that the Dominion would retaliate with overwhelming force. So, he took the fight to them. Using stolen ships and reverse-engineered technology, he led a fleet into Dominion-controlled space, attacking outposts and supply depots. The once invincible armada was now on the defensive, scrambling to respond to humanity's relentless assaults. These raids served another purpose. They freed countless enslaved species under Dominion rule. These aliens, once oppressed, saw humanity not just as rebels, but as liberators. Many joined the cause, forming the first alliances in humanity's growing coalition. Among them were the Thalanaar, masters of cloaking technology, who taught humans the art of stealth warfare. The Varkesh, engineers of unmatched skill, helped upgrade Earth's outdated ships with advanced weaponry. And the Voskar, fierce warriors who had resisted Dominion rule for centuries, pledged their armies to Ford's cause. Together, they became a force the Dominion had never faced, a united front of rebels, misfits, and survivors fighting for freedom. They called themselves the Vanguard, and under Ford's leadership, they became a nightmare for the Dominion's fleet. The turning point came at the Battle of Aegis Field. The Dominion had regrouped, amassing a fleet 3 times the size of the Vanguard's forces. It was meant to be a show of power, a final solution to the human problem. But Ford was ready. Using Thalan AR cloaking devices, he hid his fleet within the debris fields, launching a surprise assault that shattered the Dominion's formation. The Varkesh weapons tore through enemy hulls, while Voskar warriors boarded their ships, bringing the fight to the enemy's own decks. Humanity's guerrilla tactics, combined with their allies' technology, created chaos. The Dominion fleet fell into disarray, their superior numbers meaningless against the Vanguard's precision strikes. Ford led the charge, his ship, the Resolute, cutting through the enemy lines. He broadcasted his voice across all frequencies, echoing the message that had sparked the rebellion. "We are not prey. We are the storm that will break your empire." The Dominion retreated, their fleet shattered, their aura of invincibility gone. The victory wasn't just strategic, it was symbolic. Humanity had gone from victims to victors, from survivors to conquerors. They had turned the tables on their invaders, showing the galaxy that Earth was not a world to be subjugated, but a force to be reckoned with. News of the Vanguard's victory spread across the cosmos, igniting rebellions on Dominion-occupied worlds. The once mighty empire now faced revolts on all fronts, their control crumbling as more species rose up against them. Major Elias Ford became a legend, the man who turned the tables, who made the invincible bleed, who inspired a galaxy to fight for freedom. But he knew the war was far from over. The Dominion would come back, stronger and more determined than ever. But humanity was ready. They had evolved from victims to warriors, from isolated survivors to leaders of a galactic rebellion. The tables had turned, and the invaders who once saw Earth as easy prey were now the hunted. The war for Earth had been won, but the battle for the galaxy was just beginning, and humanity was ready to take the fight to the stars. The Battle of Aegis Field was more than just a victory. It was a seismic shift that reverberated across the galaxy. News of humanity's triumph spread like wildfire, shattering the myth of Dominion invincibility. Species that had lived under the Dominion's iron fist for centuries saw a glimmer of hope, realizing that the tyrants they feared were not unbeatable. Rebellions erupted on occupied worlds, from the icy plains of Xyraxis to the sprawling megacities of Varid Prime. The Dominion was caught off guard. Their rule had always relied on fear and intimidation. But now, that fear had turned against them. They faced uprisings on dozens of worlds, their once loyal subjects emboldened by humanity's defiance. The Vanguard, led by Major Elias Ford, became a symbol of resistance, a beacon for those seeking liberation. Ford capitalized on this momentum, broadcasting a message across Dominion space. The chains of oppression are not unbreakable. We shattered them, and so can you. Join us, and together we will bring down this empire. His words ignited revolutions, uniting disparate species under a common cause. The first to answer the call were the Thalan AR, whose cloaking technology had helped secure victory at Aegis Field. They had suffered under Dominion rule for generations, their culture suppressed, and their homeworld exploited for resources. Inspired by humanity's courage, they declared independence, openly defying the Dominion. The Varkesh followed, leveraging their engineering prowess to sabotage Dominion infrastructure, crippling supply lines and communication networks. The Voskar warriors, once feared mercenaries, turned against their former masters, leading brutal assaults on Dominion strongholds. The Dominion's hold on power began to unravel. Desperate to regain control, they implemented brutal crackdowns, deploying shock troops and orbital bombardments to quell the uprisings. But this only strengthened the resolve of the rebels, who fought back with ferocity, inspired by humanity's example. The Galactic Council, a neutral body overseeing interstellar diplomacy, could no longer ignore the chaos. The Dominion had been a founding member, enforcing order across their sectors. But now, they were the source of instability. Council factions began to fracture, with some siding with the Dominion to maintain the status quo, while others saw an opportunity to support the rebels and reshape the balance of power. Diplomatic envoys were sent to the vanguard, offering alliances and support. Ford knew this was both an opportunity and a trap. He needed allies to continue the fight, but he also knew that political entanglements could compromise their mission. He chose his partners carefully, aligning with those who genuinely supported liberation, while keeping others at arm's length. But not everyone welcomed humanity's rise. The Xylar Coalition, a powerful faction that had profited from Dominion rule, saw humans as a threat to their influence. They launched a propaganda campaign, branding the vanguard as terrorists and accusing humanity of destabilizing the galaxy. They lobbied the Council to label Ford as a war criminal, pushing for sanctions against Earth. This political backlash forced humanity to fight on two fronts, against the Dominion on the battlefield and against the Coalition in the diplomatic arena. To counter this, Ford tasked Alex Chun, Ilara's brother and a skilled diplomat, with building alliances and defending humanity's reputation. Alex's charisma and eloquence won over many council members, securing crucial support from neutral worlds. Meanwhile, the Dominion's leadership fractured. After the death of Commander Thaurak, internal power struggles erupted, weakening their chain of command. Ambitious generals vied for control, undermining each other's strategies and spreading distrust. This disarray allowed the vanguard to launch coordinated strikes, exploiting their enemies' divided focus. On the occupied worlds, humanity's influence grew. They didn't just fight, they helped rebuild. Using Varkesh technology, they restored shattered infrastructures, provided medical aid, and trained local militias. This humanitarian approach won hearts and minds, turning former subjects into loyal allies. But with influence came responsibility. As the vanguard liberated more systems, they faced the daunting task of governance. They had to balance freedom with stability, uniting species with vastly different cultures and histories. This was a challenge Earth had never faced before, leading a galactic coalition. Ford turned to Ilara Chun, whose knowledge of Dominion technology proved invaluable in rebuilding war-torn worlds. Together, they created a provisional government, the Accord, dedicated to justice and equality. It was fragile, held together by hope and necessity, but it laid the foundation for a new order. The Dominion, however, was far from defeated. Their core worlds remained strong, protected by impenetrable defenses. They retreated to these bastions, consolidating their power and preparing for a counteroffensive. Humanity had won battles, but the war was far from over. In response, Ford launched Operation Phoenix, a campaign to cut off the Dominion's resources by liberating key industrial worlds. These planets were heavily fortified, guarded by the Dominion's elite forces. It would be the most dangerous mission yet, but Ford knew it was necessary to cripple the enemy's war machine. The stakes had never been higher. The Dominion was fighting for survival, becoming more ruthless and desperate. They unleashed forbidden weapons, triggering cataclysmic events on rebellious worlds. In their eyes, if they couldn't rule the galaxy, they would burn it. This escalation threatened to plunge the galaxy into total chaos, and Ford realized that humanity's greatest challenge wasn't just defeating the Dominion. It was preventing a galactic apocalypse. To do this, he needed more than military strength. He needed diplomacy, vision, and hope. In the shadows, the Xylar Coalition plotted to seize power amidst the chaos. They saw an opportunity to replace the Dominion and install themselves as the new rulers. Ford knew they were the true enemy, manipulating events to their advantage. But exposing their schemes required proof, and finding it meant infiltrating their fortress worlds. As the vanguard prepared for the next phase of the war, Ford stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing at the stars. The galaxy was at a tipping point. They had turned the tables on their invaders, but victory was not yet secure. They had given hope to billions, but they also carried the weight of their expectations. If they failed, the Dominion would return stronger, and the galaxy would be plunged into darkness. But if they succeeded, they would change the course of history, freeing countless worlds from tyranny. The consequences of humanity's rebellion were far-reaching, and the outcome would shape the galaxy for millennia. It was no longer just about Earth's survival. It was about building a future where no species would ever be enslaved again. With renewed determination, Ford gave the order to launch Operation Phoenix. The final battle was coming, and humanity was ready to face it. The galaxy was watching, and the fate of countless worlds rested on their shoulders. The war was far from over, but humanity was prepared to finish what they had started. The war had changed everything. From a species fighting for survival, humanity had risen to become a symbol of hope and defiance across the galaxy. The Dominion was shattered, its empire broken, and its rulers either defeated or in hiding. But victory brought new challenges. As the dust settled, the question loomed: what would humanity do with its newfound power? Major Elias Ford stood before the Galactic Council, his presence commanding respect. Once seen as an outsider, a primitive from an overlooked world, he was now regarded as the liberator of countless species. But with that respect came responsibility. The Council, once under Dominion control, looked to him for leadership in rebuilding a fractured galaxy. Humanity's influence was undeniable. They were hailed as heroes on liberated worlds, celebrated for toppling tyrants and freeing billions from oppression. The Vanguard's banner became a symbol of justice and unity, inspiring hope even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. But with influence came expectations. Species that had been freed from the Dominion's grasp now looked to Earth for guidance and protection. Ford understood the weight of this responsibility. Humanity could not merely replace one empire with another. They had to be better. The Accord, the provisional government formed during the rebellion, was expanded into the Galactic Coalition, an alliance dedicated to preserving freedom and justice. It was built on the principles that humanity had fought for: equality, sovereignty, and cooperation. To ensure this vision became a reality, Ford appointed Alara Chun as the coalition's first ambassador. Her knowledge of Dominion systems and her passion for diplomacy made her the perfect bridge between species with centuries of mistrust. She worked tirelessly to foster dialogue and cooperation, ensuring that no voice went unheard. The coalition was unlike any governing body before it. It wasn't about domination or control. It was about collaboration. Humanity shared its technology, knowledge, and resources, helping war-torn worlds rebuild. Engineers from Earth worked alongside Varkesh scientists to restore infrastructure, while human medics and Virillian healers treated the wounded. Yet, not everyone embraced this new order. The remnants of the Dominion resisted, launching insurgencies to destabilize the coalition. And the Xylar Coalition, who had schemed to seize power, continued to undermine humanity's efforts through propaganda and political manipulation. They spread rumors of Earth's ambition, painting humanity as conquerors in disguise. To counter this, Alex Chun led a campaign of transparency and diplomacy, addressing fears and building trust. He visited liberated worlds, meeting with leaders and citizens, listening to their concerns, and ensuring they had a say in the coalition's future. His honesty and empathy won over skeptics, solidifying humanity's role as a unifying force. But humanity faced challenges beyond politics. Their rapid rise to power disrupted the galactic order, attracting the attention of ancient civilizations and powerful factions that had remained neutral during the war. Some saw Earth as a threat, others as an ally, and a few as an opportunity for conquest. Ford knew they couldn't face these challenges alone. He proposed the creation of the Galactic Defense Pact, a military alliance to protect coalition worlds from external threats. It was a delicate balance, ensuring security without becoming oppressors. The pact was led by a council of generals from multiple species, emphasizing cooperation and mutual defense. With their new role, humanity walked a fine line. They were no longer just survivors of an invasion. They were leaders, protectors, and architects of a new order. They had turned the tables on their invaders. But the real challenge was building a galaxy where such tyranny could never rise again. Ford stood before the coalition assembly, his voice resolute. We were born in adversity, forged in battle, and tempered by hope. We will not falter, for our fight was never just for survival. It was for a future where freedom is not a privilege, but a right for all. This is our promise, our purpose, and our legacy. With these words, humanity's role was cemented. They were no longer just inhabitants of Earth. They were guardians of the galaxy's future, bound by the responsibility to lead with honor, courage, and compassion. And as the stars bore witness, a new chapter in galactic history began, one written by those who had defied the odds and inspired the universe. Humanity's journey from prey to power was nothing short of legendary. They had faced extinction, stood against impossible odds, and turned the tables on invaders who once saw them as insignificant. Through resilience, ingenuity, and an unyielding will to survive, they not only defended their home, but redefined their place in the galaxy. The Dominion's reign of terror was over, and in its place stood the Galactic Coalition, a testament to the power of unity and justice. But victory was just the beginning. The challenges of leadership, rebuilding, and maintaining peace were daunting. Yet, humanity stood ready, not as conquerors, but as protectors and allies. Major Elias Ford's words echoed through the coalition assembly. We are the children of Earth, born under the shadow of adversity, united by hope. Our fight was never just for ourselves, but for a future where every species can live free. This is our legacy, one of courage, compassion, and unbreakable spirit. This is more than just a story of survival. It's a story of transformation. Humanity turned the tides not through conquest, but by embodying the very values they fought to protect. They showed the galaxy that true strength comes from unity, justice, and the courage to stand against tyranny. And now, their legacy is in your hands. The story of Earth's defiance is a reminder that no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, hope is the most powerful weapon of all. Let their journey inspire you to stand up for what's right, to fight for freedom, and to believe that even the smallest voice can change the galaxy. If this story moved you, if it made you feel the pulse of adventure and the power of hope, then join us. Subscribe to Sci-Fi Humanity and become a part of this epic journey. There are more stories to tell, more worlds to explore, and more battles to fight. Don't miss out on the next chapter of humanity's legacy. Like, share, and leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts, your favorite moments, and what you'd like to see next. Your voice matters, and together, we can continue this saga of courage, unity, and hope. Humanity defied the odds. Now it's your turn. Are you ready to join the fight? Subscribe today and become a guardian of the galaxy's future. The adventure is just beginning.